The idea of spending retirement years in warm countries of Asia or South America appear to many. Sometimes it is curiosity to live in a foreign country, but often it is economics. Australia is a great country to build your wealth while working, but it appears to be on the expensive side in retirement. Cost of living have been going up dramatically, but this is across the globe. So Australia is not unique or special in this area. But still the fact remains that many, especially Asian countries such as Bali, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, can appeal to many people in Australia. An additional benefit is obviously a relatively short flight and cost that is not excessive, with many Asian airlines flying directly to Australia at low cost. Another area that appears to be of interest to Australians where cost of living could also be reduced is South America. The top 5 countries are Uruguay, Chile, Argentina, Peru and Ecuador. Whichever country you choose, it is always recommended to visit this country first. Spend some time to see if the culture, climate, language, economy, medical care, housing, cost of living, that all those items are to your satisfaction and you feel comfortable that your retirement will be enhanced in comparison to staying in Australia. One of the prime issues for many when considering living overseas is application for age pension and accessing this service from the other country. I have already explained the process of applying for age pension while here in Australia with some of my personal tips from my own experience while working with the Centrelink office on behalf of many of my clients. So check how to prepare an application for age pension. The second part to view is how to claim age pension if you are overseas. This covers migration for retirement to countries that have social security agreement with Australia. And today we will cover the very requested topic of age pension application when retiring in a country that does not have the social security agreement with Australia, and those are most of Asian and South American countries mentioned before. Please watch till the end as I will go over a few examples how those listed rules apply in real life. My name is Katherine Isbrandt from About Retirement. I'm certified financial planner and you are watching About Retirement TV, the place that I created to assist you in your journey of preparation to retirement financially or to improve your overall financial position, your income, value of your assets, access to government benefits if you already retired. So let's jump into our today's topic, applying for age pension when living overseas in a country that does not have social security agreement with Australia. To be eligible to receive the Australian age pension while residing overseas, the following legislative requirements need to be taken into consideration. Number 1, residing in Australia. Number 2, proportional portability. And number 3, former resident rule. So let's go over those points one by one. Number 1, residing in Australia. The general rule is that on the day of lodging your claim for age pension or any other pension and allowances for that matter, you are required to be in Australia, reside in Australia and be one of the following: Australian citizen, holder of a permanent visa or holder of a special category visa. The only time when you can apply for age pension while not in Australia is if you reside in a country that has social security agreement with Australia. Once you receive your age pension in Australia, you can carry the pension overseas, subject to portability rules. And for age pension, the portability is unlimited, with special conditions that all former residents have a 24-month waiting period before their pension is portable outside of Australia. However, please be aware that after 26 weeks, your payment will become proportionate based on your working life residence, AWLR. Number 2, proportional portability. So what is proportional portability? Well, your age pension can be paid to you if residing overseas indefinitely, as I explained before, based on portability special condition. However, after a period of 26 weeks of residing overseas, your rate of age pension payment will be calculated proportionally to your working life residence in Australia. This is your working life residence in Australia that refers to any or all periods from the age of 16 to age pension age, when you are considered an Australian resident. Although it is named working life residence, it actually doesn't require you to be working all the time and paying taxes, but it does look at your Australian residency history and years as a resident of Australia. From 1st July 2014, in order to qualify for the full age pension payment, your working life of residence in Australia is required to be 35 years, so 420 months. Before 1st July 2014, the required period was 25 years. Number 3, former resident rules. The rule prevents former residents of Australia from returning to Australia, claiming the age pension and immediately moving overseas again to live permanently overseas. With this rule, as explained before, by portability rules, you are required to remain in Australia for at least 2 years, 24 months, before being eligible to take the age pension payment overseas with you. So now let's look at some examples. Alfredo is 67, has just retired from work, has lived in Australia for 20 years. For his retirement, he would like to return to his motherland in Philippines, where he still has majority of his family, plus cost of living is obviously lower than in Australia. When applying for age pension, Alfredo is in Australia, therefore eligible to apply as a residing in Australia citizen, and he can take his age pension to Philippines indefinitely. Centrelink will apply the means testing to calculate his eligibility, and the outcome of both income and asset test confirms he's eligible for the full pension payment. So what happens now? For the first 6 weeks while he is overseas, Alfredo will be receiving the full age pension payment. After 6 weeks, the telephone allowance and any pension supplements will stop based on temporary absence. After 26 weeks, Alfredo's age pension will be recalculated based on his working life residence in Australia, which is 20 years, so 240 months. Therefore, Alfredo's age pension payments will be proportionate to the number of months lived in Australia. And now let's have a look at Sylvia. She's 67. She retired 5 years ago when she moved to Bali. She loves the weather, low cost of living, plus there are many Aussies retired over there as well. So she has a lovely circle of friends. But now Sylvia would like to apply for age pension. Prior to living in Bali, Sylvia lived and worked in Australia for 45 years, so she's confident she would be eligible. Living overseas for 5 years for Centrelink purposes, Sylvia is no longer regarded as an Australian resident. Therefore, Sylvia's steps are as follows. Sylvia has to return to Australia to meet her residency rules requirements. Sylvia can only apply for age pension while in Australia. She needs to reside in Australia for the period of 2 years to meet portability rules. Centrelink will calculate Sylvia's eligibility based on income and asset test, and whichever test gives the lower outcome, this is the level of age pension payable. Based on both tests, Sylvia is eligible for full pension payment. After 2 years, Sylvia can leave for Bali again and take her age pension with her. For the first 6 weeks, she will be receiving the full payment. After 6 weeks, the allowances and supplements will be removed. After 26 weeks, Sylvia's age pension will be recalculated based on her working life residence in Australia. As Sylvia worked in Australia for 45 years, therefore even longer than the required 35 years, Sylvia's age pension will not be reduced. Rules for Social Security payments from overseas are very complex, and they will be calculated based on your personal circumstances. So my recommendation is don't just estimate it based on general rules. From the finance point of view, there are so many issues to take into consideration before you move overseas, such as family home, should you keep it or sell it, financial requirements of the other country you want to move to, where to keep your bank accounts in Australia or in the other country, what to do with your super if you have any, tax system in the other country, currency exchange, should you transfer your savings all in one hit or proportionally. This is just a list that I believe you should go over and receive the best financial advice you can. In addition, as mentioned before, you should also consider your social, medical, housing needs and provisions in the other country before you make this huge decision to move. I hope you enjoyed this video and it provided you with some extra clarity about living abroad in a country that does not have Social Security agreement with Australia and how to deal with your age pension application. If you need any financial planning advice in relation to setting up your retirement planning, your assets, income stream, age pension, visit my website about retirement.com.au, where you can easily book a meeting with me to go over your personal circumstances and how to improve your position. While on my website, sign up to our newsletter to keep you up to date with all the changes that can impact your retirement. And now go back and watch those 2 mentioned videos: how to prepare an application for age pension, tips and suggestions how to prepare a successful application, and how to claim age pension if you are overseas, explanation of steps if you are in a country that has Social Security agreement with Australia. I will speak with you in my next video. Bye for now.